Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Episode 41 of Ladies First. I am your host, Amber Vickers. Every time I think that I can take a social media break, I can never take one. There was drama in the WNBA, and it was just, I don't even know what to say. We're going to talk about that when we talk about WNBA news. That's the first topic, actually, we're going to talk about. Then there was drama about colorism, of course, racism, all that stuff on ESPN. Um, just sometimes I'm just so speechless about the sports world. It's just so much going on. And I really want to take the time to talk about certain topics tonight. So I'll give you guys WNBA news. Of course, the ladies come first. We'll talk about the NBA finals a little bit. I'll talk about more of that on Count the Bucket with my co-host, Michael. We're going to have a special co-host as well. Then I'll talk about a young lady that retired. And I watched her in college, and I've been following her since her college years, and I followed her WNBA journey. And then we'll talk about Maria Taylor. And then I'm going to do prayers tonight. I'm going to do some prayers tonight. I'm going to try to do that at least once a month. Do prayers at least once a month. Before I get into the show, I'm going to do two sponsors, and then we'll get into this WNBA news. The first sponsor I want to share is probably our most important sponsor. It is the Patreon. Check out patreon.com/unwrapsports. $1 a month. You're just a fan, general support. $5 a month. It includes the Discord benefits, 10% off of the Teespring shop, which I'm going to show you later on in the show. And you can win some money in that Discord chat. The Discord chat has been winning all kinds of money. The Tampa Bay Lightning went back-to-back Stanley Cup champs. So a lot of guys have won money in that. And then baseball, they've been winning money like crazy in baseball. Basketball and the NBA, and the WNBA. So that's really good to see. And then the VIP status is $10 a month, 20% off of that Teespring shop. And of course, those Discord benefits in the Discord chat where the gambling Corey and Perry are really good at making money. And I'm trying to figure out how to make money, but I took a break from gambling, but I'm going to jump back onto gambling sometime. I think next month. I took a long break because I would win some, then I would lose some, and I didn't want to get too addicted to it. But it can become very addictive, so I have to really be careful. And then also you get put in a running for something signed memorabilia. I'm not quite sure what it is this month. I'm pretty sure Perry would tell us, but that's patreon.com/unwrapsports. Support the Unwrapped Sports Network. All right, next we're going to do my bookie. This is how folks are winning money in the Unwrapped Sports Network. In the Discord chat from the Patreon, mybookie.ag. If you use that code USN100, you can double your first deposit up to $1,000. Double your first deposit up to $1,000. So let's look at the sports book for a little bit and see exactly what's on it. Cool. We got UFC this weekend, of course. Then the NBA finals, baseball, hockey is now over with, but they were betting heavy on hockey. Is there any golf? Tennis. Yes, Wimbledon finals are coming up. I forgot about that. Of course, UFC, the Euro Championships, MLS. Any and everything you can think of to bet on, you can do it. It got NASCAR, and I mean any and everything. So check out mybookie.ag and use that code USN100 to double your first deposit. Oh boy, where do I start with WNBA news? Where do I start? So before I share my screen, there was a lot of controversy with the Atlanta Dream. I'm not a reporter for the Atlanta Dream, so I am not going to assume anything, right? I'm not going to assume anything. I'm just going to say from the outside looking in, there are two different stories out there. There's a story that Kennedy Carter is not a cancer to the locker room. And then there's a story that Kennedy Carter is a cancer to the locker room. Whatever you choose to believe is on you. I personally have seen players on Twitter for the Atlanta Dream come out and vouch for her as a player and as a teammate. But on the flip side, you have reporters that are reporting something different. But you also have reporters that are reporting something that's the same as the Atlanta Dream players. So now we have this big old cluster of what is going on with the Atlanta Dream. We all know what happened to the owner. She ended up resigning. And they're under new ownership. Renee Montgomery has a piece of ownership. Shout out to Renee Montgomery. And they have an interim coach. Their coach ended up leaving and going to coach at Baylor. So they have an interim coach, interim head coach. Something's not right in Atlanta. I'm not saying Kennedy Carter is a cancer to the locker room. I'm not saying that she's not. But there is something wrong there with the Atlanta Dream. And I don't think anybody will know the full story until Kennedy Carter makes a public statement, which she might not do. Right now, she's suspended indefinitely for conduct detrimental to the team. That's what it's called, conduct detrimental to the team. So right now, she's suspended. And the Atlanta Dream are fighting for a playoff spot. Now they have two different ways you can win this year. There's the Commissioner's Cup, and then there's the WNBA playoffs, of course, in the WNBA finals, which would take place in October most of the time, September, October. So the Atlanta Dream are fighting for a spot. There are some strong personalities in that locker room. And I said it before the season, because you have Courtney Williams, you have Odyssey Sims, you have Kennedy Carter, you got Tiffany Hayes, you got the rookie McDonald. They have those guards have some dominant personalities. Could there be some conflicts in personalities in the locker room? Maybe. We will never know. We will really never know the true story. But it seems to me, from the outside looking in, that her teammates have her back. And that is very important. The coach really didn't say much about it. I don't think he wants to say too much. But her teammates, Tiffany Hayes, Courtney Williams, I've seen that on Twitter that they've come out and defended her. And even Courtney Williams has had to defend her name because somebody said that her and Kennedy Carter got into an altercation. And Courtney was like, no, we didn't. Well, somebody reported it. Courtney Williams was like, we didn't get into an altercation. And Courtney Williams is very straightforward. She's one of my favorite players to watch. First-time All-Star. Very, very straightforward personality. So if something happened, Courtney Williams is not going to deny it. So Courtney Williams is saying nothing happened between me and Kennedy Carter. We're cool. She's my teammate. She's my sister. We're good. Tiffany Hayes came out, and I'm paraphrasing, guys. Tiffany Hayes came out and said she's a great teammate. What you guys are reporting basically is not true. So we don't know what to believe, right? We don't know what to believe. But if her teammates are defending her, usually if you're a cancer in the locker room, your teammates aren't defending you like that. That's my personal take. People thought that T.O. was a cancer in the locker room, but his teammates loved him. Only teammate that really didn't care for him much was Donovan McNabb. So the Kennedy Carter situation is a sticky situation. It's a dicey situation. She's one of my favorite players to watch. I love watching her play at Texas A&M under Gary Blair. And she gets drafted to the Atlanta Dream. She was hurt her rookie season. She was hurt a little bit this season. But she started to come along. And then she gets suspended. I think she checked out of a game and wasn't able to come back in. And then she went to the locker room. So her and the coach, I think, probably don't get along. I think Atlanta needs to hire somebody else, maybe, because do you build around Kennedy Carter? Because I really like her. She's a young player. She was one of your first-round draft picks. But the first-round draft pick in the WNBA and the first-round draft pick in the NBA are totally different. They are completely different entities. Because Charlie Collier barely sees the floor for the Dallas Wings, and she was a number 1 overall pick. She plays scattered minutes for the Dallas Wings. She started last night, but she doesn't play very many minutes. She's not the focal point of the offense. Whereas in the NBA, if you're number 1 draft pick, you are the focal point pretty much of the offense. So that's a little different. It's different in the WNBA than it is in the NBA. Do you see a future with Kennedy Carter if you're upper management for the Atlanta Dream? I like it. I like what they have going there in Atlanta. I don't want to see Kennedy Carter go. You don't trade her. You don't trade her. I think you just let the adults figure it out eternally. And then if a story does come out, then a story comes out. But if a story does not come out, it doesn't come out. So I don't know what to think, what to believe. I am happy, though, that her teammates do have her back. And they seem to be pretty on board with her being a part of the Atlanta Dream organization. As far as upper management and coaches go, we just don't know. And reporters, it's a tough job. I imagine it being a very tough situation because you might be getting insight from the locker room, or you might be in the locker room, or you might be getting insight from an unreliable source. You just never know what kind of information you're getting, if it's true or false as a reporter, and you don't know what to run with as a reporter. I saw that on Twitter as well. Reporters are like, we don't know what to run with. But if you have one true reliable source and you use that source and that source tells you, hey, this is what's going on, then more than likely you're going to believe their source because they're reliable and they've given you great information in the past. But that whole situation in Atlanta is dicey. But I hope it gets better because I really like to see them in the playoffs. And I hope that Kennedy Carter can come back this season. I'm pretty sure she wants to come back and play with her sisters. So I hope that happens. Please let it happen because I really like watching those guards play for Atlanta. All right. Now we are going to look at some WNBA news standings. I watched three great games last night, all Commissioner Cup games, by the way. Last night, stayed up late. The late games were Seattle and the Sparks, and then Vegas and Phoenix. And the early game was Dallas and Minnesota, all Commissioner Cups games, which makes me rub my hands because that Vegas and Phoenix game was very, very important in Commissioner Cup standings because Seattle is ahead of Vegas in the West. We'll look at it, guys. Don't worry. We're going to look at all of that. And they need to make up ground. They needed that game last night badly. So let's see if we got any other news that I should talk about. I'm going to get into some more news as well. But I'm going to talk about that Mercury and Aces game, of course. And I'm going to talk about the Storm and the Sparks. And then I'll talk about the Lynx and Wings. Players of the week, Breonna Jones, which is my leading candidate for most improved, and Asia Wilson will probably be an MVP candidate. Sammy Wickham, probably in the most improved conversation as well. Caleb McBride's been putting up buckets. Guess who got their second win? The Indiana Fever. Yes, since we last did the show, our last show was July the 1st. On July the 3rd, on Saturday, the Indiana Fever got their second win. Got off the schneid. Had a 12-game losing streak. Can you imagine losing 12 games in a row? I couldn't. I could not imagine as a player losing 12 games in a row. So the Indiana Fever got off the schneid. Congratulations to them. That Liberty game against the Washington Mystics was very good. Very good. And I enjoyed watching that game. So, last night's action, let's talk about it. The Dallas Wings and the Minnesota Lynx. That game was on ESPN2. Started at 7 o'clock. Commissioner Cups game, of course, because both of those teams are in the East, I believe. East or West? Both of those teams are in the East. I'm thinking. Yes, both of those teams are in the Eastern Conference. Hope I'm right. We'll look at it in a minute. And yeah, because Minnesota's in the East. In the NBA, they're in the West. And in the East. We'll look at it, guys. I don't like being wrong, so we'll look at it. Commissioner's Cup game last night. Now, some of these Commissioner Cups games mean something and some of them don't. But these games still affect your playoff seeding. So there'll be the Commissioner Cup on August the 12th, I believe. We'll look at it. And then there'll be coming back to the regular season and then playing for a playoff berth. The top 8 teams go. There are no conferences. The only conferences they deal with are with the Commissioner's Cup. So Vicki Johnson did something that most coaches do. I remember in college when the starters weren't playing well, because the starters weren't playing well in the first quarter. Vicky Johnson subbed all 5 out, put a new 5 in, and got them on that run and bring them back into their game because they looked very, very, very stale in the first quarter. And then Vicky Johnson just kind of rolled with the bench. She's rolled with those 5, and those 5 kept them in the game. And then she sprinkled in her starters. She brought those starters back in. They played well, but then she kind of just rolled with that second wave. And they were able to stay in the game with Minnesota. It went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And eventually Minnesota was able to pull out that win. Nafisha Collier didn't get her first actual bucket, I think, until the second half. So that tells you a lot. She got a couple of free throws in the first half that were her first points, but she didn't get going to the second half, and neither did Sylvia Fowles. And Dallas was not able to take advantage of that. Now, Kelly McBride was very efficient, and she got going. And once she got going, then it was kind of hard to stop her. But she needed Nafisha Collier to get some buckets. She needed Sylvia Fowles to get some buckets. And those two players were able to get buckets. Eventually, they closed out the Dallas Wings 79-85. So Minnesota gets another win. Cheryl Reeve, man, she just puts players out there, and they just all know how to play together. One of my favorite players to watch as well, Ariel Powers, had surgery on her thumb. She was supposed to be a big contributor for them, and she was playing really well before she got injured. She had the hamstring, and she came back, and then she hurt her thumb. Minnesota's just doing it with a makeshift lineup. They really are, and I like what they're doing in Minnesota. All right. Now, these two games were on at the same time, so my eyeballs were very busy. I'll talk about the Mercury and Aces game last because it was the most exciting. The Sparks and the Storm, low-scoring game for the Storm because they usually score a lot of points. Brianna Stewart, Jewel Lloyd, it's very hard to stop that combination once they get going, and Sue Bird sets them up so well. Once those two get going, they are very, very hard to stop. The Los Angeles Sparks are very, very, very good when it comes to playing defense and getting stops when they need to. They have just dealt with so many injuries. Derek Fisher and that team have dealt with so many injuries this season. Both of Gumlike's sisters are out. Jasmine Walker's out. Christy Tolliver's out. They've just dealt with a lot of injuries. And I had the Sparks in my top probably 5, if healthy, this season. Before going into the season, I had them in the top 5. And I don't like injuries. I don't like watching teams that deal with a lot of injuries, but that gives other players opportunities to step up. Erica Wheeler is a player they got from Indiana, and she has stepped up. Tia Cooper has stepped up. Brittany Sykes has stepped up. So I like when the others are able to step up when injuries happen. I just want to see this Sparks team fully healthy. Now, that's a lot to ask for. It's a lot to ask for in any sport. I just want to see my team fully healthy. That's a tall order because we all know that injuries happen. And we cannot control injuries. It's just a part of the game. The Seattle Storm are clicking on all cylinders. No Quinn has that team playing extremely, extremely well. They're fun to watch. They're easy to watch. They move the ball. They get out in transition. I just love the Seattle Storm. I'm a big fan of Sue Bird. Been watching her since I grew up. She is now, well, she's on the cover. She is on the cover of Time magazine this month. So big shout out to you, Sue Bird, for being on the cover of Time magazine. And there's a piece, I'm going to have to read it, about her in Time magazine as well. The last game of the night was the funnest game. Well, one of the last games of the night. Because that Sparks and Seattle Storm game was on CBS Sports Network. And the Mercury and Aces game was on Amazon Prime. This game right here, it lived up to it. Diane Taurasi did not play. So DT did not play, leg scratch. I said, okay, Let me see how Phoenix is going to fight on the road. Let's see what the Phoenix Mercury can do on the road against the Las Vegas Aces, who are fighting the Seattle Storm for that top spot for their Commissioner Cup final in the West. And Brittany Griner came out very aggressive against Liz Cambage. They enjoy playing against each other, and you can tell on the court that they enjoy playing against each other because of the height. The height, they're the same height. Well, essentially, they're the same height. And so they like battling against each other because that's usually the matchup. Brittany Griner got going in the first quarter. Skylar Diggins just kept going. Skylar Diggins, love her, love the lefty. Watched her at Notre Dame, play in the NCAA tournament in the regular season as well. And she's just so fun to watch. I know I say that about a lot of players, but she is very fun to watch, very feisty. She kind of reminds me of another player that plays for a Phoenix team, and Chris Paul. Chris Paul's very feisty, very pit bull-like. Skylar Diggins is the same way. That she reminds me of him in a lot of ways with her personality and her persona and how she approaches the game of basketball. And I like seeing that in Phoenix. And they fought last night. That game went into overtime. I was trying to keep my eyes open. They fought tooth and nail to the end. And the Mercury were able to pull it out. The Aces struggled in overtime. I think they went at one point they were 1 for 9 in overtime. And Phoenix was just scoring buckets in overtime. And the Aces could not score in overtime. They just went on a drought. It was like the lid was on the basket. Kelsey Plum couldn't hit a pull-up. Asia Wilson couldn't hit a shot. Liz Cambage couldn't hit a shot. Chelsea Gray couldn't hit a shot. Jackie Young couldn't hit a shot. It was like, oh my goodness. Like, who's going to hit a shot? I think Chelsea Gray hit a 3. Was their first bucket. They were 0 for 9. Well, yeah, 0 for 9 before. No, 0 for 8 before that. And then Chelsea Gray hits a 3, and I think pull up 3 in transition. And then now they're 1 for 9. But Phoenix just kept scoring. Skylar Diggins and Brittany Griner worked that pick and roll to perfection, and they weren't able to stop it. So the Phoenix Mercury were able to pull that win off without Diana Taurasi on the road against a hot Las Vegas Aces team. Now, what does this say for the Commissioner Cup standings? Let's look at the standings, guys. We're going to look at the regular season, and then we're going to look at Commissioner Cup. Let's look at the regular season. So regular season, similar records, almost similar for Seattle and Vegas. So they're 1-2. Then you got Connecticut, Minnesota, and Chicago. New York, Phoenix, Dallas, Washington, Atlanta, Los Angeles, and Indiana Fever. These will be ones. Ooh, that could shuffle, couldn't it? 1, 2, and 3 could possibly shuffle. I expect Chicago to make a push as well. Like I said, if Candace Parker was healthy, I think they'd be top 3 if she was healthy all season. That is closer than I thought. It's a lot closer than I thought. Now, the Commissioner Cup standings will be totally different because they're in the East and they're in the East. Of course, New York's in the East. So these Commissioner Cup standings will be a little different because it's broken down by conference. But it's a lot closer than I thought it was. So they're both 73 up in the conference, Seattle and Vegas. One is 8-2 at home. One is 73 at home. One is 8-1 on the road. One is 6-3 on the road. Last 10, 8-2, 8-2. The hottest team right now is Minnesota. They've won 5 in a row. Cheryl Reeves just keeps on winning. It doesn't matter what lineup she puts out there, she keeps on winning. Jaquil Jones is back for the Connecticut Sun. Brianna Jones held it down. Jaquil Jones is back, and I expect Connecticut to be at the top. They're probably going to play for the Commissioner Cup final and represent the East. But Chicago might be knocking on their door and saying, hey, let us in. So that's the top teams. Now you get down here and it gets sticky because I want Atlanta to make a push because I want to see that team in the WNBA playoffs. So the top 8 teams go. So as of right now, the Dallas Wings would play. Is it double elimination this year? I'm trying to figure out how they're going to do the playoffs this year because I think last year the first 2 teams got a bye, and that means 3 played 8. The first two teams got a double bye. The second two teams got a bye. I believe 5 played 8, 6 played 7. That's how it was done last year, if I'm thinking correctly. I wonder if they're going to do that same format or if they're just going to go back to the regular format. Now, the Commissioner Cup standings are as follows. Minnesota is in the West. Oh, okay. Minnesota is ahead of Vegas. Wow. Minnesota's ahead of Vegas. So Minnesota jumps ahead of Vegas because they're both 5-3. They own the head-to-head. Oh man. So Minnesota owns the head-to-head against Vegas. Wow, I thought Vegas was 2, and I thought Minnesota was in the East. I don't know why I thought that. Maybe because they're on the East Coast. But anyway, so all 3 Commissioners Cups games yesterday were important. They were important. Wow, this is new to me, guys. So bear with me. All 3 were very, very important for these 1, 2. So they played Dallas. Phoenix played the Mercury. Yeah. So all the games were in the West. All the games, no Eastern Conference Commissioner Cup games. Whoa. Okay, Amber. Okay. So looks like Seattle is probably going to represent the West because I think there might be only a couple of games left. And I don't know if Minnesota can make up their ground because the All-Star game is July 14th. If you guys don't know, it is July 14th, which is on a Wednesday. I'll be watching that game, of course. And then they play more games, Olympic break, Commissioner's Cup, then back to the regular season. I'll look at it down below in a minute, guys. The Chicago Sky are 2 games back of Connecticut. Who owns? Okay, they're 1-1 against each other. So they're 1-1 against each other, which is good. That's good if you're Chicago, and that's good if you're Connecticut. Well, it's great if you're Chicago because you can't be 0-2 because you would be further back than you are now. So you're a game and a half back instead of because you're 1 game back in the win column and you're 2 games back in the loss column. So you're a game and a half back, I want to say. That's good, Chicago fans. That is great. What's bad for Chicago fans is that Connecticut looks like they are going to probably go to the Commissioner's Cup. More than likely. Jaquil Jones is back. Brianna Jones is balling, most improved player, in my opinion. Even though Chicago's fully healthy, it might be too little too late for them. Maybe. But I had no clue that Minnesota was ahead of Vegas. That is news to me. But these 2 teams I'm looking at the most in the East, and these 3 teams I'm looking at the most in the West. But I think Seattle's going to, end up being that team to represent the West, and Connecticut's going to end up being that team representing the East. So I was right. It is August the 12th in Phoenix. So Commissioner's Cup games, 60 regular season games. So 10 per team that have been designed as cup games. Cup games will be the first home game and first road game each team plays against its 5 intra-conference rivals, all set to take place in the first half of the season. Aha. So after the Olympic break, okay, so this makes sense. I'm going to look at Seattle's schedule, Minnesota's schedule, Connecticut's schedule, Chicago's schedule, and Vegas' schedule. And we're going to look at and see if any of these teams can make ground. I think I saw on Twitter that Vegas or Minnesota has a 6% chance of representing the West. And then Connecticut pretty much is in the driver's seat to represent the East. But we're going to check out their schedules because after the Olympic break, which cup games are played between May 14th and July 11th. So there's only probably a couple of cup games left because today is July the 8th. So there's only 3 days left of cup games. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Because the All-Star game is on the 14th. So you get an All-Star break. And then they go to the Olympics, I believe. So you have the Olympic break. And then they come back and play the regular season. Aha. So it's not much ground to make up. So I see why. I see why those standings are the way they are. Let me look at Chicago. Okay, they play the Mystics July 10th, which is a Commissioner's Cup game. So that's the last game they have. So they cannot catch Connecticut because they don't play their next game until August 15th. That is going to be a great game, and it's on ABC. This game against the Mystics is on Amazon Prime, so they have no chance of catching Connecticut. So it looks like Connecticut will be representing the West in the Commissioner's Cup. The East. They will be representing the East in the Commissioner's Cup. Now let me see. All right, let me see Minnesota. I don't think Minnesota could catch up with. Why is it showing me? Oh, please don't play that in my ear. Thank you. I don't think Minnesota can catch Seattle either, because they probably have 1 or 2 games left, and that's it. Oh, they have 2 Commissioner Cup games left. So they play Vegas Aces on ESPN3 tomorrow. I'll be watching that. And then they play the Sparks on League Pass, which Spectrum or League Pass. So they have 2 Commissioner's Cups games left. Let's see what Vegas has. But Seattle would have to lose. Seattle would have to lose 2. And even then, it depends on who owns the tiebreaker. So Vegas also has 2 Commissioner Cups games left against, of course, Minnesota. And they have one against Dallas. Wow. So Seattle would have to lose against, let's see what Seattle has left. Let's check out the Seattle Storm. Let's see what they have left. They also have 2 Commissioner's Cups games. They play the Phoenix Mercury back-to-back. So they play them tomorrow, and then they play them Sunday. Once in Phoenix, once in Seattle. So they would have to lose those 2 games. Minnesota would have to win their 2 games, I believe, to even sniff at Seattle. But let's look and see who owns the tiebreaker between those teams. So Minnesota's 1-0. Okay, yeah, they don't have a chance because they're 0-2 against Seattle. So even if Seattle loses those 2 games, Minnesota couldn't catch them. Let me see Vegas. Vegas is 1-1. Vegas is 1-1. So Minnesota would have to lose 2. Vegas would have to win 2. Seattle would have to lose 2. And then the tiebreaker, how do they do tiebreaker? Head-to-head record, cumulative point differential, overall winning percentage versus in-conference opponents, and coin flip. I think Seattle's in the driver's seat. they're in the driver's seat because even if Minnesota wins 2, Seattle loses 2, they still can jump Seattle because Seattle owns them 2-0. They have 2 games against the Mercury, so they'll play those 2 games. Road and then home. Vegas has 2 games left. Minnesota has 2 games left. Connecticut's in the driver's seat. Chicago only has 1 game left, so they cannot catch Connecticut. So Connecticut will represent the East. Who represents the West? More than likely, probably 98% chance that Seattle will. So you're going to get Seattle Storm. Connecticut Sun will battle it out for the Commissioner's Cup on August 12th. That's what we're going to say. That's just how we're going to roll with that. Action tonight. Let's look at what action we have tonight. Let's go to the home page. Let's see the action that we have tonight. So tonight, nothing tonight. Nothing tonight. Okay, got a day off. Tomorrow, Commissioner's Cup game, Atlanta and Connecticut. That is Courtney Williams' old team. And then we also have New York Liberty and Indiana Fever, Seattle Storm and the Mercury play. That's an important game. Minnesota and Vegas play. It's a lot of games tomorrow. So there's no games tonight. But tomorrow you get 4 games. You get 3 Commissioner's Cup games and 1 game that's not a Commissioner's Cup game. CBS Sports Network, NBA TV, ESPN, and ESPN3. So if you're a streamer, which I'm a streamer, I have Hulu. You can watch it on CBS Sports Network. I also have NBA TV. Of course, I have ESPN, and then I can use ESPN3, but I'll probably watch the game on League Pass. So 4 games tomorrow, 3 of them are Commissioner's Cup games. Connecticut is pretty much in the driver's seat. Even if they lose against the Atlanta Dream, which I don't expect them to do, but even if they do, they'll still represent the East. Indiana and New York, let's see if Indiana can get their 3rd win. Let's see if New York can rise up in those regular season standings. Seattle and Phoenix, let's see if Seattle can close the door of a possibility of Minnesota or Vegas catching them in the West for their Commissioner's Cup. All right, guys. That is WNBA news. That was fun. It was a lot to talk about. And I like to explain everything to you guys so you guys can get a great understanding of everything that's going on in the WNBA. Even if I don't know something, I will look it up right here live and show it to you. I will show it to you live. But we're going to transition on to the NBA Finals. And I don't talk about the NBA a lot on my show because I do it on Count the Bucket a lot. So, game 1. Game 1 was very interesting from a coaching point of view. I knew Bud would get outcoached in this series. I knew that would happen, right? Giannis plays game 1. He's going to play game 2. I'm pretty sure of it. I haven't checked ESPN, but I'm pretty sure he'll play game 2. Let's look and see. I'm almost sure that he's playing game 2. I don't doubt that at all. Let's see. I haven't seen anything that says otherwise. So I'm pretty sure he's playing game 2. That is one thing I know for sure. Ooh, my stomach is growling. I must need some food. Yeah, it looks like he's playing game 2. I haven't seen anything that says he's not playing game 2. Let's see. Nope, haven't seen anything saying he's not. So Giannis is a go for game 2, far as I know. He played game 1, which was very shocking for me after the way his knee bent back. He wasn't aggressive to start off the game. He wasn't very aggressive. He wanted to fill the game out. But him not being aggressive hurt the Milwaukee Bucks. He got aggressive later. But by that point, Chris Paul had taken over in the 3rd quarter again. And DeAndre Ayton had probably already had 17,000 rebounds because he's putting up crazy numbers. Dario Saric tore his ACL, so they will be missing him. So it looks like Frank the Tank Kaminsky will be getting minutes. I like Frank the Tank Kaminsky. I watched him a lot in college. So he'll be getting minutes because Dario Saric was DeAndre Ayton's backup. But a lot of times Monty Williams will go small and he'll put in Torrey Craig and have Jay Crowder. And then we have 3 wings like Cam Johnson, Devin Booker, and Cameron Payne. So he can stay small, or he can put, Frank the Tank Kaminsky in and get some good solid minutes from him. 10 minutes a game wouldn't hurt him. Dario Saric was able to stretch the defense out. Kaminsky can as well. Kaminsky can shoot. We'll see. But the coaching matchup is what I want to talk about. We all know the big 3 for both teams. Ayton, Paul, and Booker. Middleton, Holiday, and Giannis for the Bucks. You can wash those 2 out, right? We know what they're going to bring to the table. Drew Holiday did not have the best game, but I expect him to bounce back game 2. Middleton played very well. Giannis gave you what he could. Lopez got exposed on the defensive end, which I knew would happen because they exposed him in the Atlanta series. You can tell the Phoenix Sun watched some Atlanta Hawks film and put him in a high pick and roll and just went to work. Bobby Portis, they did him the same way. Trae Young and Clint Capella did Bobby Portis and Lopez like that. And it looks like Chris Paul and Ayton and Booker and Cam Payne are going to do those 2 players the same way. How does Coach Bud adjust to that? What do? You need Brook Lopez's offense and his rebounding because he played well on the offensive end. It was just the defensive end that he just didn't play well. You need that. So how does Bud hide him on defense? Because you can't well, you can hide him in certain situations. Most of the time, he's probably going to be guarding DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton is very active. Giannis is not completely healthy. I would not put Giannis on DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton is too active. So you put Giannis on Jay Crowder, which we saw that a lot. You put Brook Lopez on DeAndre Ayton. Chris Paul ran that 1-5 pick and roll. He could possibly run that 1-4 pick and roll with Jay Crowder if Jay Crowder decides, if Coach Bud decides, okay, Lopez, I want you to guard Jay Crowder. They're just finding a mismatch. And that's what it's all about in the NBA playoffs. Adjusting in matchups. That's it. Adjusting in matchups. Monty Williams just stuck with his bread and butter and did not deviate. And it showed in Phoenix in the third, Chris Paul, rather in the third quarter. First quarter didn't score. Second quarter, I think he had 11 points. Third quarter is where he went bonkers and had 16. So now you look up and Chris Paul has 27 points out of nowhere. What? 27? And in the fourth quarter, they closed. They pretty much closed. And Phoenix is very good at closing games. You can kind of see the Bucks making a push. Monty said, hold up. Chris, come on. Booker, come on. Ayton, come on. Let's close this out. I saw this on Twitter from my good friend on Twitter. His name is a future NBA owner. You guys should follow him on Twitter. He gives great insight on the NBA. He said Chris Paul is not going to lose this NBA Finals. I think I said that right. He's just not. I just don't think he's going to lose it. He wants it too bad. He's come too close. He can smell it and taste it. And as long as Chris Paul keeps his foot on the gas offensively and remains their lead on the floor, I don't see Phoenix losing this series. I picked Phoenix in game 1. I'm going to pick Phoenix in game 2 tonight. I will say this, as much as I say about Coach Bud and adjustments, I do think he makes adjustments in game 2. I do think Giannis is a little healthier in game 2. But what you cannot do is put Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez on an island with Devin Booker, Cameron Payne, or Chris Paul. But that's going to happen because Bobby Portis gives you energy off the bench. Brook Lopez, you need his offense. So you can't bench him because you need the offense, because he provided great offense in game 1. But on defense, you just have to find a way to help. Either Middleton has to slide or Drew Holiday has to slide, but then you have shooters on the outside. You might have Cam Johnson out there, and he can stroke it. He's been hot in these playoffs. Mikal Bridges is streaky, but once he gets going, and he played a great game 1. You have Jay Crowder, who's streaky as well. But once he starts hitting shots, he can hit shots. So the Phoenix Suns have perimeter guys that can hit shots. So if Drew Holiday maybe slides over a little bit, or Chris Middleton slides, or Connaughton slides, or Forbes slides over just a little bit to help, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and Cameron Payne are making the right decision. Chris Paul more generally, because he's generally in that pick and roll with Lopez. He knows the right play to make. So now, okay, how do I play this pick and roll? I can't drop, because if I drop, Chris Paul's going to hit the mid-range jumper, which he's been doing. If I come out and help too much, hedge too much, Chris Paul's going to make the right decision very, very quickly. If I play tight, he's going to blow past me. So what does Brook Lopez do? What does Coach Bud do? I'm looking to see those adjustments on that high pick and roll. There's only so much help you can give when you have shooters on the wings. Mikal Bridges is a shooter and a slasher. He's been slashing to the hole. Crowder's been slashing to the hole. Cam Johnson just cannot miss in the playoffs. So what do? And Book's been hot. Book's been playing very well. You come up too much as a big man. DeAndre Ayton has a lob. If you help too much on that lob, Chris Paul knows how to read it quickly, because DeAndre Ayton is rolling quickly, and he's going to hit the corner guy, and he's going to hit a shot. How does Bud adjust? I'm looking for adjustments tonight in game 2. I don't know how much of that game I'm going to watch, because I have a family matter to attend to. But I'm looking for those adjustments. So that's the NBA Finals, guys. I'm not going to get too much into it. I'm going to talk about it a little bit, but on Count the Bucket, we will dive into the NBA Finals. We're going to have a special guest. Michael and I will this Saturday. I think we're going to go at 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern, either 9 or 10. Either 9 or 9:30. Central Time is when we're going to go and count the bucket. But adjustments is my favorite word today. All right. I want to send some congratulations out to this young lady. I talked about her before I started the show. Ty Young, Tamara Young, known as Ty Young. She announced her retirement on Instagram yesterday. And I don't like when players can't go out on their own terms. I don't know if she did or not, but I think, I don't know if she wanted that last hurrah, that last go around. Like Tarazi will probably get, Sue Bird will probably get, Candace Parker will probably get that. But Simone Augustus didn't really get that. She just decided, okay, I'm going to transition into coaching and give these younger players a chance to play. I don't know if Ty Young went out on her own terms, but if she did, I could be wrong. But if she did, I want to say congratulations on a great career. James Madison from Wilmington, North Carolina. Small town, North Carolina. I remember watching her YouTube video. She was like, there's nothing but a dirt road. I mean, there's stuff there now, but back then it was just a dirt road. It took us an hour to get to the grocery store. So she's a small town kid, played for a smaller college in James Madison, was able to get drafted in the first round, I think 8th overall, if I'm not mistaken. And she had a 12-year WNBA career. Wow. So Ty Young, she was cut by the Seattle Storm this season. Also, Candace Dupree was cut by the Seattle Storm, and that shocked the heck out of me. But Ty Young was cut by the Seattle Storm, and then she decided, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and retire. But it was a joy watching her play. Her sneaker collection is crazy. You guys should go follow her on Twitter and Instagram and see her sneaker collection. She's a fashion diva, in my opinion. Great basketball player, tough basketball player, one of those players on your team that you just love to have. I know Chicago, Atlanta, Vegas, and Seattle. I think those are the only teams she played for. Yes, I could be wrong. I enjoyed having her. Let me make sure. Guys, if I named all the teams that she played for correctly. Yep. Atlanta, Chicago, Las Vegas, and Seattle. I was right. So those are all the teams that she played for. I'm happy I was right. Because you guys know I don't like being wrong. So she was drafted by Atlanta Dream, 8th overall. Played for Atlanta and played for Chicago and played for Vegas and got a chance in training camp with Seattle, but it did not work out. But Ty Young, congratulations on your retirement. The Las Vegas Aces, everybody did something for her on social media. She was at the Vegas Aces game last night, and they did a tribute to her on the big board, along with some other WNBA players that played for, because the Las Vegas Aces used to be the San Antonio Silver Stars. So he played for the Silver Stars, and then they transitioned to Vegas. I wanted to make sure I had that correct. Because you had the Detroit Shock, Tulsa Shock, then now you have the Dallas Wings. So that's how that transition went. Man, it's tough to see veterans go. Simone Augustus, one of my favorite players to watch in college. When she retired, it hurt me. It kind of hurt deep in my soul. There are certain players, it's going to hit different. Candace Parker, Sue Bird, Donna Taurasi, when they retire, that's going to put a little sting on my chest. But I think she had a great career. 12 years in WNBA. That's longer than most women play. Most women just transition to something else, which broadcasting seems to be a big thing. Coaching seems to be a huge thing. Front office roles with the NBA, coaching in the NBA, which I love to see. Ownership, Renee Montgomery, ownership. They're transitioning into another life. And I love seeing that for women players because they usually don't play 12 years. Like they'll play probably 7 or 8 if they last that long, because it's very hard to last in the WBA because there's only 144 players, 12 teams. Very tough to stay on a roster. And the fact that she was able to stay on a roster for 12 seasons, that says a lot. So congratulations to you, Tai Young. I wonder what's next. I know she'll be a shoe ambassador. She has all kinds of endorsement deals. I know she does because her shoe collection is crazy. And clothing and fashion, I know she's into that. So she'll make a great transition into her next life. But I just want to say congratulations. Last topic of the night before I get to prayers. I'm not going to dive into this too much, but I'm just going to say a little bit about it because it doesn't surprise me. Maria Taylor, I was able to meet her on a Zoom call during quarantine. I was able to ask her a question and listen to her speak during quarantine. I actually had a 5-minute conversation with her. She is everything that Black sports journalism represents, in my opinion. She's an ex-player. She worked from the ground up. She's an ambassador. I can't even say enough about her. She does a lot. She is the Stephen A. Smith for women because she does college football game day, the NBA. That's a lot. That's a lot. She did college basketball. She did so much for that network to just treat her the way if they treated her. And Jemele Hill did a podcast recently, a couple of days. Oh, she was on Dan Le Batard's show, which is they're no longer on ESPN. So Dan Le Batard has a show, and Jemele Hill's often the guest on their show on ESPN. So she was talking about the toxic culture at ESPN and how it was toxic for her and Michael Smith, who are two Black journalists, and how it was toxic for Stuart Scott, another Black journalist. And she just talked about the culture not being right. And you can tell ESPN kind of swept it under the rug. There was a lot of backlash on social media. Rachel Nichols received a ton of backlash on social media. They said, okay, you won't be doing the finals, and Malika Andrews will be doing the finals. Okay, Malika Andrews deserves to do the finals anyway. But we're going to keep you on the jump, and we're going to do a 10-second apology. And then we're going to have your two Black co-hosts, I think Richard Jefferson and Kendrick Perkins, defend you. What? You mean to tell me you can defend that? You can defend what she said, and you can defend that apology she gave? Come on now, fellas. You can't do that. And you're Black. Oh my goodness. So I knew that the jump would be crazy, and I don't watch the jump. I don't really watch sports shows like that. I do watch Maria Taylor though, because I do watch college football, kickoff, and I do watch the NBA Finals countdown with Jalen Rose and Jay Williams and Woj, with Maria Taylor hosting. Inside the NBA, everybody watches Inside the NBA, but that's on TNT. You mean to tell me ESPN? No, not even ESPN. Richard Jefferson, Kendrick Perkins, two Black men get on there and defend Rachel Nichols after you had a Black woman ostracized at your own network? I get that you have to work with her. I get that. But that's code of conduct, baby. You can't do that. You cannot do that because she doesn't think she was wrong. You listen to that apology, she doesn't think she was wrong. Privilege? Absolutely. Has privilege written all over it. I get you have to save face for the network because the network has received a lot of backlash, and they're still receiving backlash. I think the National Black Association Journalism, the NBAJ, I want to say I'm saying that right, the National Black Journalism Association wants to have a meeting with Disney, which Disney owns ESPN. You guys know that. Wants to have a meeting with Disney about Rachel Nichols. Like, look, we're not going to keep dealing with this. Maria Taylor is a rock star, up and coming rock star. She's having some of the contract negotiations. And if she leaves that network, she is going to be bigger than ESPN. Trust me. She has that much power, in my opinion. Star power. Malika Andrews is young. I think she was under Forbes 30 for 30, 30 under 30. I think Malika Andrews is 26. Malika Andrews is a rock star. I wonder how you guys treat her. I really do, because she's a rock star as well. She only does basketball for now. I'm pretty sure she could transition to football too and do both, like Maria Taylor does both. How you treat your employees is very important, especially your women employees of color, because a lot of times when they're interviewing players, they look like them. I hate to break it to you, but the players look like them. I was lost for words when I saw that. I heard the recording. I didn't know what to say or how to feel. It baffles me that we still have to deal with this in this day and time. We do. And my words for Rachel Nichols is, I hope you find peace within yourself. That's all I can say. I hope you find peace within yourself, because you are supposed to protect your fellow sister. You're not supposed to take away from what she's done. She's dealing with twice the scrutiny you are because she's a Black woman. And for you to say what you said, find peace within yourself. If she resigned from ESPN, I wouldn't be upset. I would not, because she's going to get a lot of backlash. Every time she does the jump and gets on there and smiles and talks about basketball, I wonder if another NBA player will let her interview him. The way they came out to bat for Maria Taylor, I wonder if she can get another interview from a Black NBA player, or even a white NBA player. ESPN's going to have to handle that. They're going to have to handle that. I think Maria Taylor should leave the network. She's worth more than ESPN. All right, that's a good transition to prayers. I'm going to send my prayers out. I know the Miami condo collapsed on Miami Beach. We've got Tokyo in the Olympics. No fans. I don't believe no fans, because that new Delta variant is out for the coronavirus. So you guys stay safe. Prayers out to all the women journalists out there, women of color, women not of color, all the journalists that are women that are trying to break into the industry and trying to make it. Trust me, I'm doing the same thing. I want to send prayers out to you. I think her name is Kayla Johnson. I think she broke the story. Well, she told Maria Taylor, hey, watch your back. There are people in the network that don't like you. And she reported it. I think they let her go for that. So I think her name is Kayla Johnson. So prayers to you, Miss Lady, and the strength that you had to even report something like that to HR, because they want to sweep it under the rug. So prayers out to the residents of Miami, all women journalists in Tokyo, and the Olympians that are participating in the Olympic Games. And Miss Richardson, Shakari Richardson, prayers out to you. I talked about her on the Dose of OJ with Owen and Josh. That was a fun time. I had a great time with those guys talking about sports, as always. So check out that episode. It's on Apple and Spotify. But that's it for today's show. I'm going to close it out with 2 sponsors, but those prayers are heavy because they're still trying to find survivors in that condo collapse in Miami. Every day they're like, okay, we have this many casualties, and they're still trying to find people in that rubble. I mean, the infrastructure in Miami, it doesn't make sense. Somebody explained it on Twitter. I was like, goodness, like, how do you know all that? But we're dealing with a lot right now in the world. But I just want to send those prayers out. I'm going to probably try to do that once a month. I have to do, because there's so much that goes on in the world. Shakari Richardson will not be able to participate in the Olympics at all. So I'll be looking forward to watching her run in the World Championships in 2022. She'll be back. She's young. I expect her to participate in the Paris 2024 Olympics. If she decides to stick with it, which I'm pretty sure she will. She's pretty strong. Those Black journalists, or women journalists in general, let's just stick by each other, man. Let's just do it for each other. There's no need to be jealous of another person. Your time will come. Rachel Nichols, I'm going to pray for you. Maria Taylor, of course, praying for you. And Ty Young, your new transition, praying for you. So those are my prayers. Let's close this show out with 2 sponsors. Okay, I did all of those sponsors. Let me I'm not going to share my screen because it looks like my computer is just not going to let me share it. Check out rxhemp.com. Use the code rxhemp/USN to get 10% off of your entire order. We got warm and cool CBD cream made with all natural products. Pay attention to the dosage, guys, because it can get very spicy if you keep rubbing it on. So check out rxhemp.com. Use the code rxhemp/USN to get 10% off your order. Also, check out teespring.com/store/unwrap to get all your Unwrapped Sports Network gear. I have a mug and I have a shirt. I wore a different shirt today, but I have a coffee mug and a shirt, which I put water in. I don't drink coffee out of it. My mom drinks coffee out of hers. She bought a mug and a shirt. My auntie bought a shirt. So I got some family support buying my stuff, but all the live lineups have gear. Fights Unwrapped, Saturday Standouts, the People's XFL show, which is getting ready to go on here in about 30 minutes. Backstop Banter with my co-host, Michael. He's my co-host on Count the Bucket. And then Connie's back from vacation. They go on at 9:30 my time, 10:30 Eastern. Business Casual Basketball with Aaron. He goes on 2 hours before me. Keeping It Blunt with Perry and Caleb. Prop Bros, the Long Ball Lounge with Jesse. I said fights, didn't I? I think I named all the live shows off the top of my head that I know of. So check it out, guys. teespring.com/store/unwrapped. I'll be back next week. I'll be talking WNBA All-Star game. The final should be about 4 games in or 5 games in. So we'll talk about that a little bit. There will be more drama in the sports community, so I can talk about that as well. It never stops, it seems like. But those will be the topics next week. I'm very excited. The WNBA will be taking a break. So I'll probably talk about other topics, women topics, try to find some women topics to talk about because the WNBA will be taking a long break because they have the Commissioner's Cup is until August the 12th. So they'll have a long break. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next week.